I was invited to create this mural at KIPP DC LEAD Academy, but unlike most of my projects, I barely document the process. So today, instead of showing every brush stroke, I want to take you behind the scenes of decisions that actually brought this mural to life. Stick with me. First things first, this is the mural space that I'll be transforming. KIPP DC is a public charter elementary school in Washington, D.C. that houses around 350 students, grades 1 through 4. And this mural is to be energetic, to be uplifting, to be confident for the students, to represent them, the school environment, and keep them encouraged to learn throughout the school day and the school year. When it came to the design, I really wanted to create something that felt like it belonged in the space, but also wanted to avoid making it feel like it was just another school hallway covered in logos and branding. The school already has a strong identity throughout the building with their signage, details, different graphics, so I really wanted to focus on the symbolism behind the four student houses: the House of Love, the House of Liberation, the House of Learners, and the House of Leaders. For my design process, I usually provide the client two different mock-ups. From there, we have a consultation where we talk through what they like, what they don't like, and the direction feel of what's strongest for the space. And I also let the client know, and I think this is pretty cool, let the client know what concept is my favorite. At the end of the day, it is their decision, but with me being the artist and designer, I think it's worth me giving my professional opinion on what I think will work best in the space. For the final design, I wanted everything to be vibrant, bold, full of energy, and that's part of my style and what I'm known for. So I incorporated the four houses into a large cityscape that represents the Shaw neighborhood and Washington, D.C. as a whole, with the landmarks like Howard Theater, the Capitol, the Washington Monument, the cherry blossoms. I think they all encapsulated the space to a T. I even brought in some of my signature clouds in the background to tie everything together. And the goal was to create a complete scene that represented the school, its students, and neighborhood that surrounds them. Now that the design is finalized, it's time to actually bring this thing to life. Every mural starts with prep. Before any paint touches the wall, we're covering the floors, laying out tape, getting our materials organized, and basically making sure we're not creating more work for ourselves later. Efficiency is key. Especially working indoors, you want to protect the space as much as possible. Things happen, mistakes happen, but at the end of the day, if you can avoid it, trust and believe you want to do that. Once everything is prepped, the next step is to getting the design on the wall. For this project, I actually use my MetaQuest goggles to lay everything out. Usually I'll use a projector or use a traditional grid, but every wall and every space is different, and for time efficiency, the MetaQuest goggles were definitely the way to go. In this hallway, I really didn't have enough room to use the projector to get the entire image on the wall, and doing a full grid, it would have worked, but the time just wouldn't have been efficient. Using the goggles allowed me to basically see the design overlaid on the wall and trace everything exactly where it needed to be. It's one of those tools that's not perfect, but if you can get the proportions together, you can come in the details and do that yourself without using the meta goggles. Once we had everything laid out, we started working from the larger background elements and shapes and gradually building everything forward. And that's really the process with a mural like this. I'm traditionally an illustrator, so working in layers is how my brain works. Start from the large shapes from the background and work to the foreground with the details. You don't look at this entire wall and try to pick everything at once. We break it down into sections and we gradually get into the smaller details. Of course, I gotta shout out my guy Rod, who's here working with me again. And like I said it before, some things you just can't teach. Some things it's not on you, it's in you. And when it comes to painting, attention to detail, understanding what needs to be done, Rod is professional to a T. When you're working with somebody like that, I don't have to stand over their shoulder, explain every little thing. We divide this wall up, and get going on our own sections and keep this thing going. So I'm a forever shout out Rod with the projects coming through and bringing them to life. This entire mural took us about 7 days to complete. And because we're coming from Baltimore to DC every day, you got to factor in the travel time into the schedule too. We were driving down, painting for a day, packing everything back up, and driving home. And we also had projects going on at the same time. So these weren't 7 consecutive days, but we did about 3 days the first week, came back, and finished the remaining 4 the following week. But one of the biggest advantages with this project is being indoors. If you ever follow some of my outdoor projects, you know the weather can completely change the schedule. Rain, extreme heat, wind really doesn't play a factor, but it all can either slow you down or shut the entire day down. So inside, we really didn't have to worry about that. So once we were in the building and working, we really was just locked in. And with murals, efficiency is everything. So you always try to figure out the fastest and smartest way to get something done while still maintaining the top tier quality. One of the biggest tools for us on this mural was using tape. You know I'm gonna use tape for all my murals to get those crispy lines, those crispy edges. And I ain't gonna shout them out anymore because I'm gonna need that sponsorship before we stamp it. But just know a lot of tape was used. But you know, the artwork is very clean, has very sharp lines, so we tape them off in different sections, paint them, pull the tape, clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up, and then move on to the next section. There's definitely a lot of freehand work that goes into it, and having a steady hand is a big plus in doing this. Same thing goes for lettering. Instead of sitting there trying to hand paint each single letter perfectly, which I definitely can do, so don't shortchange my skills. I created a stencil using my Cricut machine, and that's why you gotta use the resources that you have, because they can be very beneficial in the process to being, timely and finishing in a timely manner. That allowed me to take the typography directly from my design file, cut the stencil, and make sure I adhere to the wall very precisely for the crisp and accuracy with the letters as I painted. Again, it's really about efficiency. If there's a tool or technique that's going to save me an hour or two without changing the final result, I don't care. I'm gonna use it. And even with all the planning that goes into these projects, you're just always going to run into something. Nothing is perfect, and that's why you got to have that type of crafty mind to know where to stick and move when it comes to these murals. And one of those things were yellows. If you know anything about yellows, that's probably one of the hardest colors to use for coverage when you're doing murals. Whether you're indoors, outdoors, spray paint has great coverage, but sometimes it's not cost effective if you have a lot of yellow to use. It might be better to get paint. So always looking for the best yellows to use in paints. But for this color, we had the sun rays picked out, and it was actually goldenrod, which is the color I used on my previous mural. But in the lighting indoors, it just didn't match the way it was supposed to. So I was looking for something much brighter, almost like a banana yellow. And that's one of the things that you can't really judge from a swatch or even a design on the computer, because every environment is different. Lighting plays a key part in color, and honestly, it's the X factor in probably 80 to 90% of the time. So instead of forcing it, we already had the paint, we made the adjustments, and we grabbed a brighter yellow spray paint to go back over those colors in those areas, which changed the way that the mural looks so much because it brightens it up so much. And a brighter banana yellow just fits better for sun rays than a darker gold. Those little decisions matter because once the mural is finished, Nobody's watching this and, is going to say what the original yellow looked like. They're just going to see the final piece. So I'd rather take the extra time early in the moment and get it right instead of waiting and having regrets at the end of the day. And this is probably one of my favorite parts in documenting murals. I love time lapses because you're able to see, you're just standing there painting, but you're seeing it in real time. You don't really notice a transformation happening, but when you speed up the process, you like, dang, I really did that in a week, or I did that in whatever time frame. You're focused on one line, one shape, one color, one little section of the line. And when you watch it back, it just, takes my mind to a frenzy. Like, it's still crazy to me. Especially when you get towards the final stages and all those individual pieces start connecting. The houses are there, the city is coming together, the landmarks are coming together, the colors are bouncing off each other, the outlines, the details. It's just crazy because, like, you really can start to see the final vision really come together. It's really crazy for sure. By these last couple of days, the mural is pretty much there, but this is also where a lot of detail work really starts to matter. At this point, we're pulling tape, we're cleaning up edges, going back over colors, fixing the little imperfections, and just making sure everything feels as clean as it can. As I always say, getting a mural is 90% finished is one thing. It's the last 10% that can really separate something that just looks done from something that really feels finished. Because now I'm not necessarily looking at the big picture anymore. It's about the little details and the little things that comes with murals. Is that line straight? Does the color need another coat? Did any paint bleed underneath the tape? All those things matter. And it's a lot of the little stuff that most people probably would never notice, but I notice it, and once I see it, it gotta be fixed. This is also where having another experienced painter plays a big role in making a huge difference. At this stage, Rod and I can pretty much just move throughout the mural and tag different areas. Somebody might be cleaning up one section while the other person finishes up details somewhere else. That's really how we're able to stay efficient, especially when you're traveling back and forth from Baltimore to DC. We really don't want to waste a day doing something that could have been handled the day before. So we're constantly thinking about what needs another coat, what's drying, what we can work on while something else is drying. It's kind of like that stick and move going back and forth to make sure the flow is very seamless. There's definitely a system to it. And honestly, pulling the tape is probably one of the most satisfying parts of the entire process, because that's when you're starting to see those really crisp lines, those shapes that were originally had in the digital design actually show up on the wall. My artwork is very graphic and illustration based, so those clean edges are part of the huge translating style from the computer to the mural at scale. And that's really what I'm trying to do throughout the entire process. I don't want the mural to just be inspired by the original design, but I want you to be able to put the mock up next to the finished wall and immediately see that same artwork. Obviously, things are going to change when you're working at this size. Some colors might look different, certain details might have to be adjusted, but overall, I want to maintain the integrity of the original design. At that point, the paint gets packed up, the tape comes off, everything gets cleaned, and the wall that was completely blank when we walked in now has an entirely different feel and energy. And that's always one of the favorite parts of doing this. You spend days staring at individual shapes, lines, colors, little sections, and then finally you get to see one completed piece.
Overall, rich, crazy, flowers on both sides. It's just perfectly balanced on the edge. You know, this is heavier. Right. That is, I was just on a week. 7 digs, 6.5. For real. 6.5 day. All things considered.
And just like that, another one in the books. Shout out to KIPP DC, Washington, D.C. for welcoming Art by J. Law into y'all spaces and giving me the opportunity to leave my mark. Believe me, this definitely won't be the last one. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with me until another project. Until next time, peace.